All right, good morning to any replayers. If you are a replayer, you can still participate. If you tap on the screen, you can get hearts. If you want to share this broadcast with just one person or a bunch of people, hi Sparky Girl 23, you can share this. And of course, you can find me, hi Lady Kev, AAU. And you can find me on Twitter, hi Annie G 1977. Find me on Twitter or Snapchat if you have questions for me. I'm happy to answer any of your questions about your particular financial situation. Yeah, good to see you too here. Or if you have questions about my broadcast. Hello, hello, hello. So, all right. Good morning, everybody. It's Saturday. Happy Saturday. If you're new to me or if it's been a while, my name is Joannazarach, and I am a mess because I just woke up. It's not like I just woke up. It's just that I've been up minding the house. So, hi Eldemir Enver. Hi everybody that's joining. If you're new to me, my name is Joannazarach. I do a daily money habits broadcast where I talk about developing better money habits and basically practicing better financial having a financial plan, right? Like one of the things that I emphasize is that you really need to have a plan for your money. I think a lot of people struggle with getting their habits to follow, to develop good habits because they're really not sure what they want to do with their money. And even today I was thinking one of the things that we do is we let our money go where it's the easiest, right? We let our money go on the easiest path forward. And that usually means spending. The easiest thing to do with your money is to let it go through expenditures. And so if you have a plan, you're going to get a better sense for your comfort. That's all good and well. It costs a lot of money. So one of the things you're going to have to embrace the complexity and you're going to want to understand it. So income being one. Another thing, if you're going to be in financial freedom, you're going to have investments. And there could be multiple investment. Could be real estate, could be stock market, could be alternative investments, lots of different options, which means you're going to add a layer of complexity to it, right? And this is why it's so important if you want to go down that path to really take care of your basics. So what are the basics? First of all, everyone needs to have in the next 6 to 12 months an income plan, right? Like you need to get a perspective of where your money is going to come from and then how you're going to increase it, right? So do you have an income plan? Is it just getting a paycheck? And what are you doing to increase it, right? So having an income plan, sell drugs, that could backfire because of the legalities of it. So the next thing is to just really get a sense of your net worth. More money, right? Like you've got to have a perspective. If you're just sitting around and your answer to my call to action is I just don't have money, then you don't have an income plan. You have not really thought through, are there ways to get additional income? And everyone starts small. Like I challenge you to make $10 extra, right? Or then $100 extra. It is not about like, oh, I got to have the 6-figure idea that I'm going to implement by next week. That's not realistic. If people are selling you that, they're selling you an unrealistic expectation and probably charging you money for it. This is a slow process, but if you don't have a plan to do that, then you're going to struggle. So the next thing is you really need to establish your net worth statement. You have got to know how much money you have in cash, how much money you owe, how many assets do you have in other income generating, and do you have anything of value? If you do not have a net worth statement, then how do you know you're making progress? So that's the other thing. It's like people you need to give people, you need to have that perspective, right? You need to have a net worth statement. And again, I am a easy does it kind of person. Your net worth statement is very easily built in mint.com, right? That's particular free software where you enter all your banking information. It is, right? Yes, making the first, it's a mindset, right? Right, Sandy? It's a mindset. The mindset is permission. People are looking for people to give them permission to earn extra money, which you don't need. And then the capability. Actually believing you can do it, right? And someone who's earned a little bit of extra money my entire life, it is mindset. You can say, well, I'm like, really? Because I go around the world and all I see is money, right? I'm like, money, money, money. Yesterday, I did my Periscope presentation on Thursday, and then I was texting with my friend who's looking to buy,
all I see, that's all I see. I see opportunity. I see out in the world and I see opportunity and I see money, right? Like, I'm like, oh, here's an opportunity. Why isn't anybody taking? And when I see someone hustle, I'm like, that person's taking initiative, right? I'm like, that person's solving a problem. It could be a $5 problem. It could be a $500 problem. It could be a $5,000 problem, but money's out there. So anyway, after you have your income mindset, get your net worth right. Like, figure out where you're at. And so many people are just head in the sand. You really can't progress unless you know where you stand right now. You've got to assess it. You've got to have a clear picture. And if you do it on Mint versus like a spreadsheet, and you can start with a spreadsheet. By the way, I have spreadsheets. I have spreadsheets from 5 years ago or 6 years ago. I started on a spreadsheet. Mint wasn't as widely used. And I like would look up the balances and I would put them in a spreadsheet, right? And I still have them, right? I have my old spreadsheet so I can see the progress. But if you don't know your starting point today, it is really hard for you to make progress. So get your net worth, understand where your money's at. Then the third step, this is just initial things, right? Know where money's going to come from, more money. How much money do you have right now? All your financial picture, and then start automating, right? And so you're like, okay, why can't I just jump ahead? It's because these are the things that are going to hold you back from two things: from taking action that's difficult, and then because you're just taking care of the basics. Like, if you're paying bills, if you're writing bills, if you're going in, logging in to pay the bills, if you're doing things that in your financial life that could be automated, you're exhausting your time and your decision making in the financial realm. So here's the thing. Let's say the amount of time to spend on your finances is fixed and you only have an hour a week. And if you're spending 47 minutes of that hour doing basic things like writing a bill or balancing your checkbook or looking for things, you have 13 minutes left for your strategic and your investments and everything. That's not enough time. What you need to do is start shaving off the time you spend on your basics. If you're writing a check, still, ask yourself, is there a way I could call and make a credit card payment? That's only, of course, if you don't have credit card debt and you have good credit. So obviously, like if you're still working on that piece, I understand it may become more complex. But every time you're doing something manual, ask yourself, is there a way I could automate it? All bill payment, the paychecks that you get, the money that's coming, the money that's going, you got to automate it. You say, how can I do that? And you just take it one step at a time, right? Like, if you have a lot of bills and you go, okay, how do I automate it? Mortgage payment, rent, even rent payment, your landlord go, you know what, can I do that through like some other means? Can I get that? Can I get out of this, the mental clutter of taking care of the basics? I'm telling you, this is so important, and you have to trust me on this, and you have to take action. By the way, every personal finance person that's anywhere goes automate, 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 automate. So really, those are the three things. So evaluate your basics first. And so I'm sure there's more, but right now I want to focus just on the three things. So look back on your past week. And when you plan for the next week, this is what success would look like: that you have an income plan, that you know your net worth, and you've been automating, right? And then to add to it, plan ahead, right? Like, have a plan for your money, right? Like, too many people are just letting make it full. Yeah. I've been like, I have a smart sheet, which is like just a web-based project planning, program. Yeah. You have specific goals, right? And I used to have more financial goals, and now it's kind of like, more, it's a little less specific. Like, I have goals for my investments. Like, I use taxable accounts or tax deferred accounts as my guide, right? So, and then I have to execute on them, right? So I try to put like timelines into my project management tool for my life. I project manage my own life, right? And people are like, oh, that's crazy. I'm like, it's not crazy. How are you going to remember all these things? Why? Because my financial life is complex. Again, people are like, oh, why would you need to do that? You just have bills to pay. I'm like, well, if you're taking the time to do that, it means you're not making your financial life more complex. And so that's really the point, is that you really need to address those basic things to get to move to the next stage, right? And everyone just wants to go always like, I want to go to go to the finish line, right? I want to invest money and I want to make money in my sleep and all that. It's like, yeah, you've got to put in the work. In your financial life, in your financial journey, you're going to put in the work. So that's really the message today, is as you're looking at your success, make sure you're checking this off. And that's part of my thinking process. I'm like, I really need people, I need to be able to take people through their financial journey in their financial complexity. That's why people get overwhelmed when they have the business. When they get overwhelmed with tax returns, they get overwhelmed with investments. Why? Because they really don't have, they're using up their money planning energy on the basics. And so they just really don't know where they are. And so it's really hard to think long term, to think about investing, to think when you're having cash flow problems, right? When you're cash flow challenged, and if you're not solving them, right? And so the thing that what helps you do when you have those initial things. Well, you can if you find me on Twitter, that's or Snapchat. I'm happy to talk to people on the phone. People here know I'll I'll get on the phone with you and you can ask your questions, because people they feel like they want specific information for them. And so I do. Hi, Monica. I meet with people around Chicago, and if you want to get on the phone and kind of talk through your financial situation, I'm happy to do that. So find me on Twitter. And I still like, if I need to follow you back, just say, I have a scope question, follow me back, and then you can direct message me. So, yeah, you're welcome. You can totally stalk me and I will talk to people. Here's the thing. There's nothing more in life. This is my purpose in life. There's nothing more than I love than talking about money. And I'm not talking like greedy money. I mean, I'm talking about numbers. I have a passion for numbers. Yes, I have a passion for numbers. I always have. I was like the crazy math geek in high school. When you go back to your same as here at joannazarach. So my handle is same everywhere. So yeah, if you if you find me on Snapchat, that's great. Yeah, I'm trying to be consistent across media. And I love nothing more than to teach people about numbers. I used to teach math, and then math in a more abstract sense, but I love the numbers part of math, right? And so this is like you're welcome. This is my purpose in life. And I'm at the top of this Maslow's pyramid to really get the, to realize my full potential, right? And this is, again, yeah, I find a lot of people do that, and that's part of why they get intimidated, right? That's why they're like, oh my God, money is math. And they see a bunch of numbers and their eyes glaze over. And that's why I said, use these tools and use the automation and worry less about it. But you've got to do some of the work, right? Because if you just got to start hanging over to people, then it's their job. Then you're not really in control, right? This is all about being in control of your money and your financial journey. And if you want to get to financial freedom, it's just not going to happen by you going by hoping, right? I'm trying to get people to take actionable steps to progress, and all I'm doing is teaching you guys what I've done. And so that's that's really the goal. So anyway, that's I'm developing before I got on the scope today. I was like, I really need to start writing down these stages of financial freedom, and some of it challenges me. Why? Because it's been so long since I've been over here on the financial journey, and that's one of the reasons why I talk to people. Yeah, we definitely can. Yeah, let's chat. Let's start the chatting on Twitter and Snap. Here's the thing. I talk to people and I ask them because I need to be reminded. I talk to people at various stages of their financial journey, and I need to be reminded. Many friends. Yes, I need to be reminded of where people are and what solutions are appropriate to them. And the thing is that because I'm trying to understand what's preventing people to get to here, right? That's our financial journey. I want people to get to here. And a lot of people are stuck here. Cash flow challenged, pre-investment, right? Lack of understanding of money and how money works. And they're just stuck and they're spinning the wheel. And they're making, it's not that they're making mistakes, they're not understanding the impact of their financial decisions, right? People don't have a clear understanding. And when you look out into the world, yes, we are, right? But the financial journey, it's all the same. It is consistent in terms of maturity, financial maturity, I guess. But here's the thing. We look out into the world and we're looking for advice. And you know who's in the first line, the front line of advice givers in money are people who are trying to sell you things. And when people try to sell you things, there's a conflict of interest. And it's okay. You may be in need of buying their services or buying what they sell. Yeah. That's right. That's right. Yeah, you need to mature financially, right? Like just we need to mature in life, in relationships. We all mature. I mean, and part of it is just time and experiences. But if you go look out and say, what should I do next? If you look out into the world and say, what should I do? This is a big decision. Where are the people really helping you through that? Unless your parents are also financially mature, right? This is the intergenerational thing that I talk about. Unless you have people who came ahead of you who are already financially savvy, and that's a high likelihood that you're already in the intergenerational wealth path. If your parents were that financially savvy, then and they may have been like middle class or upper middle class, so you've picked up some things. But if you look at that, look at where they could have been if they really got into it, then they would have been even further ahead. So if you're lucky, you have parents or siblings or family. That's right. A lot of people I find is that their parents are even worse off in terms of financial knowledge. So where do you get your financial knowledge, right? Where do you go? You go to the people you think will represent your best interest. And it's not that they're not helping you. It's just that there's a price to pay. And also they may be putting you in a position that's not financially favorable for you. And, because that's how they make their money. And again, it's just people who broker transactions, people who sell you things like education, people that sign you up for a financial component or financial commitment, and they benefit somehow. And you don't understand the implication long term of your decision. And sometimes I see people making huge financial decisions, especially when it comes to lending, right? Loans, that they don't understand the implications of. And even career selection, right? Or jobs, or taking a job, or asking for a raise, or doing transition. But all that stuff is hard. So there's very little to get people so if you're stuck in this cycle over here, student loans, right? If you're stuck in this, in the rut, and you're making decisions that just maybe pushing you back. Yeah, in your savings account, right? You gotta get smart about it, right? You've gotta have a plan. No one's really telling people what to, once you've saved and you're like, okay, now what, right? You turn around and you're like, okay, I have a few $1,000s maybe. What do I do next? There's not enough guidance. I even was reading about employers. So the latest thing this week, I decided I want to become a 401k administrator. And so, which means I'm going to take the Series 65 exam to be an investment advisor. These are the things I think of. I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do that because I want to help people with concrete things that they can do. And one of the things I was reading up about, that they're like, here's the problem. 401k administrators sell plans, but then don't provide any guidance to the employers or the employees in that 401k plan on what to do next. They just sell them a bunch of crap, and then they don't even educate. They're like, there is so little education around investing. None, right? None is available. So I was reading this article about it, the state of the 401k administration, and what what drives people. And again, because once you close the sale, the help is less profitable, right? You're like, okay, I'm administering your plan. You got I sold you a bunch of stuff that's on commission. Yeah, thank you. No, I'm trying to, as we talk about this, I'm trying to think, what can I do? What can I do, an individual that has the brain and the time and the willpower to do this? And how can I start changing it? I have been looking at 401k plans for 2 years now because of the legislature that got passed that employers are supposed to give you a better 401k plan, and most employers are in violation of the laws, the Department of Labor laws. They don't even know, and there's not enough auditors to do that because you guys, there's a likelihood if you have a 401k plan, there's a likelihood it's high priced, and the employers don't realize that if they've been in it for a long time, that they need to be getting a different plan, right? Which is a pain in the butt if you're an employer. If you're a big employer, you might have a department, but if you're like 50 people or 100, it's going to be an expensive process for you to even just the mind share, because you're like, oh, I did that already, right? You don't want to do it I work with mid-sized businesses, so now I've gotten into the mentality of them. They don't want to do it, right? But they're actually in violation of the Department of Labor laws. They don't know. The fines are steep, so at least there's been some legislature put in place, but there's not a path or an instrument to get people to even be aware of that. So that's really because I advocate for it, and people are like, how do I get started? I feel like I need to be in the. It's not like I want to be part of the system. I want to, change the system a little bit. And you always wonder, like, what can one person do? One person can do a lot. One person can do a lot. So anyway, that's my side spiel. But anyway, yes, like what you do with the savings, that's, again, financial maturity. So I want people to understand what things they need to focus on depending on where they are in the journey. That's really the long-term plan, is to someone to come in and say, Joanna, here's my situation. I can be like, aha, here's where you are, and here is where you need to go next. And here's the 3 things you need to focus on. Not the 10,000 things to do in an ideal world. It's the things you need to focus on in your situation, right? Yeah, because people like, there's just like some things where we're like, oh, I get it, get out of debt, get out of this, da, 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 da. And then they get to a certain point, and they're like, well, what's next? And yeah, it's way too much information. The front line that you were, that's excellent. Go and help people. The front line of advisors are sort of salespeople that are clouded in advice. And again, there's nothing wrong. This is the service they provide. But they are not educators, because education doesn't make as much money as selling, right? Sales is the number one maker of money. Anyhow, that's the thing. So today, that's all I wanted to do. Just take stock, and before you go and say, I want to do all these 5,000 things that are on the list, make sure you are checking off and saying, look, I've already achieved I feel confident about these 3 things. So again, income plan, your net worth statement, and some automation put in place. And so continue working on that, and continue until you get that done. That's what I would say. You've got to get that done before you move on to the next stage. And then we're going to develop these stages so that you can follow through on that. And by the way, I'm not inventing anything. I think that other people have done that. Other programs already available out there. So I always encourage people to be like, look, if you found something that works for you, stick with it. But it's a similar thing where I'm trying to develop these stages, understand it, but I'm doing it through talking to people who are sort of mid financial journey, or even at the beginning, but again, giving appropriate advice. Thank you guys so much for your attention, your time, your engagement, and your encouragement. I am going to be back on tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Sunday, where we talk about savoring the things, because all this is so that you can enjoy life more, and you can give more of yourself and be your best self. And money, I feel like, is a barrier to most people. That's the number one excuse I hear: time and money. And I want people to become more aware, more self-sufficient. So join me tomorrow, 10 a.m. every day. Yeah, thank you. And yeah, don't hesitate to just, find me on Twitter. It might be a couple weeks. Next week's booked, and then I have spring break, but always find me on Twitter, and we can set something up. We can, start chatting, and we can do a phone call where you can talk about your situation. And again, I'm gathering information about what people are struggling with, because I don't know. I have forgotten. You are very welcome. And I will see you guys either tomorrow or some other time, because I'm here every day, every single day, 7 days a week at 10 a.m. So that you can have a reliable resource for your money questions, and keep working on your money habits. All right. Thank you guys so much. You too. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.